What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for the May 13th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Rasslin on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and give this video a thumbs up on YouTube. Man, tonight's Smackdown was very, very good. It was probably one of the better Smackdowns in quite a while. From top to bottom, this was a fun show. I know many people may have reservations with WWE, like, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. There are certain things that I really don't care for with WWE, and there's certain things that I do like about WWE. And tonight, this was a fun show. If you were, somewhat waiting to do something before you go out, whatever it is, go to someone's party or nightlife or what have you, like, this was a fun show to watch just to get you prepared and just relax before you do whatever it is you're going to do at night, man. This was a fun show. It started off with RK Bro. Crowd was loving them. You can tell that Randy Orton and Matt Riddle are enjoying this time. When they walk out, you can sense that confidence, just that charisma, the assurance within themselves that they know they got this crowd in the palm of their hands, and tonight was no exception. They get out there. Orton is calling out the bloodline and everything, and again, this is on the heels of what transpired on WrestleMania Backlash this past Sunday, and Sami Zayn comes out. So Sami Zayn, of course, he's trying to be in good graces with the bloodline and everything, and basically what winds up happening, outside of Matt Riddle saying that his hair looks like the color of rust and he's going to call him Rusty, one of the challenges that Randy Orton made to Sami Zayn was, if Sami loses, RK Bro gets the Unification Tag titles against the Usos. And Sami agrees, thinking that, hey, if I win this, I'm going to be in the good graces of the bloodline. And Adam Pearce comes out and he's like, well, whatever you're trying to do, you're not going to do it. But I am going to agree to that stipulation. If you lose, they get a shot at the Unification title. So, and that match is next. So right after this, you get Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle. This was a fun match. This was a nice opening match for SmackDown. One thing that was I noticed throughout the show, and I don't know if it's a WWE thing or it's just a crowd thing. The first match was really good, and all I could see was a lot of fans just, like, you hear crowds, and maybe that was a balcony, or maybe, unfortunately, there has been several points where WWE pipes in crowd noise or what have you. But this opening match between Matt Riddle and Sami Zayn was like, this was a really good match. A nice flow, nice fluidity. There was a spot where Matt Riddle he performed a knee while Sami Zayn was coming off the turnbuckle, and it was just perfect. Then you had Sami Zayn perform a Mikonoshu driver, and man, they were just going back and forth, and like, it was, I don't know, maybe that's one of my pet peeves about wrestling. Watching it on TV is like, when you see performers give a great performance and just people are just sitting there. And WWE's had that issue for quite a while. I don't know, maybe I know different towns are, different. I know in Chicago, when right before WrestleMania, the crowd was electric. Basically, it's mostly some of these like wrestling towns where the crowds are just into it. And then there's these other towns where, like, please go somewhere else, like, because this is like annoying me. Like, come on, man, like, these guys are putting on a great match and you're just sitting there. And mind you, I'm not talking about the whole crowd, but like, majority of the crowd is just, of course, by ringside you got people, yeah, and that's cool, but it's just like, man, come on, man, this is a great match. And there was another point in this match where Matt Riddle did you could call it a springboard moonsault onto the outside. Then later on, he wound up winning the match. So Matt Riddle, oh my God, he's hilarious. But Sami Zayn, that's what I meant to say. Sami Zayn, excuse me, guys. Sami Zayn has this bewildered look. You cut back to the Bloodline, and of course they're feeling annoyed that people are challenging them and, aren't giving them respect that, hey, we've been the longest reigning tag team champions, and, we're multiple time champs. Like, what is this? That was pretty cool. And just the whole thing with Sami Zayn, like, you could tell Sami Zayn is enjoying being a major part of WWE storylines on SmackDown, because he's a major part of WWE Smackdown. I know some people may disagree, but no, he's a major part, and he's entertaining. His backstage segments are hilarious. His matches are great. A complete 180 to where he was a few years ago. We're just like, they don't have nothing to do for him. It's crazy. Like, before, they didn't have anything to do for him. Now they have everything to do for him, which is really cool. He's a really cool guy. But I like his work. But man, that was a funny point on SmackDown. Then we get a backstage segment with Sami Zayn. He's walking through the the background, the hallway, and he's just dejected. And then Shinsuke Nakamura just comes out of nowhere, and he starts laughing, and, he tells him, Roman's the head of the table, but you're the table's ass. And that was kind of funny the way he said it and everything. I liked it. It was cool. It didn't go too long. It just went at the right time where it's like, boom, just said that, and then they moved on. Then we had one of the, I would say, outside of what happened at the end of SmackDown, this was probably the match of the night. And Ronda Rousey comes out, she's talking about how she defeated Charlotte, and she wants to be a fighting champion, and she issues an open challenge for the WWE Smackdown Women's Championship. I like that. It reminded me similar to what John Cena did with the U.S. title a few years back, where he had the open challenge, and that was a great stretch of when John Cena had the United States Championship, because he had some great matches. So Ronda Rousey issues this challenge, and lo and behold, we get Raquel Rodriguez, formerly Raquel Gonzalez in NXT. Just the visual, like, Raquel Rodriguez is really tall, so you just had this really tall wrestler, and I don't want to say medium-sized wrestler, but the visual was pretty cool. It's like, ooh, okay. And they gave you that visual before they went to commercial, like, yes, it's going to be Raquel and Ronda coming up next. I like that. That was cool, because if you were flipping through the channels and you come across that, like, oh, that's Ronda Rousey. Oh, she's fighting. Man, let me check this out. Smart move. But man, this match, man, check this match out. If they have the highlights up, please go check it out. If you DVR'd it and you're like, oh, I'll wait, or, some people do wait a few days to watch SmackDown or what have you. Like, this is one match, like, out of everything on this show, this is the first thing I would tell you to watch. Like, watch this match, because this was really good. They have pretty good chemistry. There was a few spots that you could tell, kind of a chemistry thing, but other than that, man, I loved it. I loved this match. There was a point where Raquel Rodriguez, basically, for the first part of the match, like, she was dominating Ronda Rousey. Like, she was hitting some, like, clotheslines, a couple of fall-away slams. Like, it wasn't so much the moves that she was doing, it was with the force that she was doing the moves. It's like, man, I've rarely seen Ronda Rousey get somewhat manhandled like this since she's, been in WWE. Like, damn. And, I mean, there was points in this match you're like, okay, I know they want Ronda to have the title, but, like, and are they going to switch the title right now? and that's what made you think it. And you know, like I've always said, for those of you who watch my reviews, like when a match on paper and promo wise, they're promoting and everything. I don't care what company it is. When they're promoting a match, and you're like, okay, we know this guy's winning, and as you watch that match, you start thinking, man, is this guy actually going to lose this title? That's a good match because, at first it appeared obvious, but then as the match went on, it makes you question, like, yeah, I know this guy, but man, is he really going to win? And it keeps you longer. That's a good match. There was another point where Raquel Rodriguez performed an excellent vertical suplex. There was another point where Ronda Rousey had an ankle lock, and Raquel got out of it and then hit a big boot on her, that's one thing about this match, the reversals and the force that they use on each other as they counter each other's moves, and the reversals they use, man, it's like, whoa, this is a good one. Then there was another point, trying to remember what she did, but in the end, and I'm not going to give away how this finished or anything, like, I just watched this match. Ronda Rousey won, and they shook hands. And that's something I'm noticing that you're starting to see more of in like all these promotions, not just WWE, not just AEW because they purchased Ring of Honor, but Impact Wrestling. I think I saw it a few times in NWA, MLW. Like, you're starting to see this more and more prevalent where, after the match, the guys shake hands. It's like, it's refreshing. It's something that they used to do back in the 80s. And, of course, once we got to the new generation and Attitude Era, that went out the window. But, yeah, Ronda Rousey won this match, man. This was a great match. And she won by a reverse. I'm looking at my notes because I was like, man, what did she win by? Ronda Rousey, she reversed the move. Then, man, I can't remember the exact move because there were just so many reversals that they were using in this match. But this is a match I recommend you guys check out. Then afterwards, we get a backstage segment of Shotzi Blackheart complaining to Adam Pearce, like, hey, Raquel Rodriguez beat me. She locked me in this door, and I couldn't get out, and I wanted to challenge it. And he's like, well, Raquel answered the challenge. And then as Adam Pearce is talking to Shotzi, Aaliyah is saying, well, I don't know why you're complaining because you locked me in my locker and the locker room and so on and so on. And then they cut. So apparently we might get a number one contenders match next week. Usually that happens when you have two people that are complaining that this person stopped this person from challenging for a title. Usually that happens, and then it goes on. Hopefully it doesn't, because I do like that open challenge with Ronda Rousey because she's a shoot fighter. So it does have that big fight feel. And what I also like is that it's so unpredictable. And having an element of unpredictability surrounding Ronda Rousey is so entertaining and intriguing, where it's just like, okay, man, I gotta watch this. And this is kudos to Ronda Rousey, man. Hopefully they do this for a long time, because, man, this is going to be fun. Like, this match, if the matches are like this that she had with Raquel Rodriguez, man, this is going to be a fun time while Ronda Rousey is the WWE Women's Smackdown champion. Because, man, I like this match, man. For me, this was the match of the night. Then from there, we get a promo of Madcap Moss, and he's recapping what happened at Backlash, and out of nowhere, Baron Corbin just sneaks attacks him and hits him with the chair, starts hitting him up, and he puts his head through the chair. And of course, every time Madcap Moss comes out, he have the Andre the Giant Memorial Trophy, or Battle Royal Memorial Trophy, that thingamajigga. And I didn't know what he was going to do. I thought he was going to break the trophy. But no, he used the trophy to slam on the chair while Madcap Moss was in the chair. No, he did not slam it on his head, because, no, it's an actual statue, I think. That was crazy. I did not expect that. That is what I alluded to earlier in this video, where it's like, man, this I didn't expect to get that. Like, wow, that's okay. That's interesting. Normally, we've seen cases and instances where WWE does do something similar, where someone has their head in the chair and they run into the ring post or they stomp on it, but never has anybody used a freaking huge trophy to just, or statue to just like that. Was crazy. And they wheel off Madcap Moss, and of course Baron Corbin meets him, and he gave a joke basically saying what happens if when Madcap Moss goes to the hospital. What happens when Moss is injured and he has to go to the ER. Where is he going? The Moss-spital or something like that. It was some corny thing, but that was crazy. I did not expect that. Interested to see how that plays out. But that's going to be really cool how this plays out, where Madcap Moss, when he recovers and gets his revenge on Baron Corbin. That's going to be pretty interesting how that plays out. Then we get a match between Shayna Baszler and Natalya versus Sasha Banks and Naomi. Man, ever since Sasha Banks and Naomi have been WWE Women Tag Team Champions, they have had some stellar matches. The chemistry between Sasha Banks and Naomi is flawless. I wish they would have more depth to the WWE Women's Tag Team division. Hopefully that's improving with all the women that they have in NXT 2.0. Hopefully they get called up within 6 months to a year. Hopefully, and they stay there. But man, this match was pretty solid. One spot that still sticks out to me, and I liked it. Sasha Banks had Natalya in the bank statement, and she has her, and Shayna Baszler's on the apron, and she's like, come on. She gets off, and she starts hitting the mat. She's like, come on. And Natalya's going towards the rope, and Shayna Baszler pushes the rope towards Natalya so she can grab it, and then she grabs it. It's like, ooh, that's such an old school move, man, that most people don't do anymore. They rarely do. I'm not gonna say don't do it. They rarely do it. I'm like, ooh, that's so cool. That's so cool. And that was a pretty cool spot. But in the end, there was a sharpshooter roll up from Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks and Naomi win. A solid match. There wasn't no post-match beatdown or anything like that. This was a really solid match that, another solid win for Sasha Banks and Naomi, and let's see who their next challengers are. But man, they're on a run. They are on a run. Hopefully we get another 6-woman tag match with Ronda Rousey, Sasha Banks, and Naomi. I believe they had one a few weeks ago. That was pretty cool. So let's see what happens. But hopefully this is a continued improvement with the SmackDown women's roster. I know Raw's women's roster, but still they're working on it. But man, this was a solid, really solid match. Then we get a backstage segment with Ricochet and Drew Gulak, and they're talking, and he's like, well, what are you gonna do with Gunther? I'm gonna show him what I'm all about. He walks out of the locker room and he runs into Gunther and I can't remember the guy's name. Basically his partner in Imperium. I'm just gonna say that. And his Gunther's partner, he's like, yeah, so what are we gonna tell Gunther? And Drew Gulak doesn't say anything, and Gunther just shoves him to the door, rips his shirt off, and he chops the shit out of him. Like, that chop, like, man. I know people on social media are just like, man, is he alive? Like, that was loud, man. Damn. You couldn't pay me any amount of money to take a chop from Gunther. Like, nope. Gunther Walter, I ain't taking a chop from that. That dude, it looks like he has satisfaction chopping the hell out of people and seeing them agonize after he chops them. Like, no, I'm not doing that. No. It's like, no, you're not paying. You can give me $1 billion. I am not taking that chop from that guy. Nope. Mm-mm. And more power to the guys in WWE who take chops from Walter. Not gonna be me. Then we get a match between Kofi and Butch. There's a point in the match where Kofi fakes dives and he's just jumping on the ropes and everything. I was like, what the hell? And of course Xavier, he's on the trombone. This is a pretty solid match. Butch did a lot of offense that Pete Dunne, his former gimmick in NXT, was doing. He did it, man. He won with a roll up, and he went through the crowd. And Sheamus and Rasslin are just like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" Comes back down from the crowd, leaves out with them. So yeah, he won. And this, I mean, the whole story with Butch is, he keeps running off and they keep losing him. I would say tonight wasn't so much because the past few times have been somewhat hokey how they've done it. But no, this was just very to the point, very minimizing the hokiness and just, okay, he goes in the crowd, comes out, and he wrestled. That was basically it. It wasn't everything else that we've seen in the past few weeks. That was basically it. And I liked it. You got to see more of Butch's wrestling skills. And at the same time, you had a little bit of his personality and his character. So it was a nice balance. Then we get a backstage segment with Paul Heyman and Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn's basically pleading his case, like, let me make it up to you guys. I may have overstepped my bounds and, including the title unification match. And Heyman's just looking at him like, they're going to beat the hell out of you. That was... Heyman's looks are freaking hilarious because something's going to go down where you're going to get your ass beat by the Bloodline. Then we get the Bloodline coming out, Roman Reigns and the Usos. Of course, Roman Reigns acknowledged me as he's talking. RK Bro come out. Randy Orton, man. Where do I start? Well, I'm going to start like this. Go watch this clip and everything that he was talking about the Usos and Roman Reigns and everything. For me, this was probably one of the... Don't get me wrong. Randy Orton has given some great promos in the last few years. But this one you could tell this was probably one of his better promos while he's been with Riddle. If that makes sense. But man, he was fiery. I like his dig. Yeah, I know Usos, you guys have, you're two people, but you share one brain. And he starts talking slow with them, very condescending and sarcastic, but it was so funny, man. And, he stops talking, Riddle says his things, and I did not expect this. You expected, they were gonna fight and brawl, and the Usos and Roman, they end the show with Roman and Usos holding up their titles. No, how do they end this? Freaking Riddle just freaking knees Roman Reigns out of nowhere, and Roman's just stunned, and the Usos are just like, and Randy Orton and Riddle, they leave out the ring and they're smiling, they're holding the titles, and that's how SmackDown ended. That was a crazy, wild, entertaining ending to SmackDown. I enjoyed it. I did not expect that. I was just like, whoa. But man, this was a fun SmackDown show. Again, the match for me, Ronda Rousey and Raquel Rodriguez Please check that match out. That was a fun match. I like the open challenge with Ronda Rousey. Really anticipating and excited to see who's going to be next, or if this is going to be a weekly thing. If it is, man, this is going to be fun because we know that WWE has some challengers for her. So let's see who steps up next and how this plays out. And man, this match with Raquel Rodriguez was nice because like I said, man, this was one match we rarely seen Ronda Rousey get, I don't want to say manhandled, but like have this much physicality and power against her where she's like, man, is she really going to win this match? And just the reversals and, the countering of, power against technique and speed and just that whole dichotomy. And it's just like, man, this is pretty interesting. So again, I would recommend you guys check that match out. Ronda Rousey versus Raquel Rodriguez. Great match. But yeah, this is my review for the May 13th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And like I always say, stop fighting over wrestling. There's so much wrestling that 20 years ago we were begging for this. Now we have it. Let's enjoy it. Also, with so much crazy stuff going on in the world, man, let's just enjoy this. And for the 2 hours or so, let's just escape in this and, just be entertained and relax, man. All right. With that, I'm out.